Summary of Business Communication by Harvard Business Essentials. A clear purpose. Business communication is an essential element of commerce and is critical to any business leader's success. Inherently utilitarian, business writing has several specific purposes: to explain, to convey information, to induce action, and to deliver news. Your first step in preparing any business communication is to determine your text's purpose. Once you identify this goal, post it in a prominent place to keep you on track. When the document is ready, see if the completed piece corresponds to the original intent. Second, determine if the article will meet the needs of your audience. Experienced business writers understand the difference between texts that cater to specific readers versus those aimed at a more general audience. If communicators do not understand the audience and how best to reach them, their communications will fall far short of meeting the customer's requirements. Deliver your messages clearly and concisely, so that your main points are memorable. Your message should usually be just a few sentences. If you have two important messages to convey, create two separate memos and focus on one message in each. Put your central point at the beginning and use the rest of the memo to elaborate upon it. In business writing, less is more. Eliminate extraneous words. Omit anything that doesn't advance your message. The best grammatical structure to use in business writing is the simple sentence. Although complex sentences are grammatically correct, they can confuse people. They also mean that the readers must work harder to understand the basic message. Be sensitive to the message's context, timing, and final form: letter, email, or brochure. Each of these factors affects the structure. Another chief concern is how the message will be distributed, read, and accessed. For complex messages containing data and text, such as reports, you should provide a variety of formats, such as an Excel download, an executive summary, or even an in-person meeting to review the report's main findings. Getting started. Composing the first sentence is often the most challenging part of any writing project. Choose from 4 methods to help accelerate your text's initial phase. 1. Questioning method: tackle your project from the reader's perspective. Create texts that answer the audience's main concerns or problems. The solutions to these issues then become the basis for your memo or letter. For instance, if management asks you to organize a series of meetings to discuss a project's progress, team composition, and deadlines, find out and communicate who should attend, what is on the agenda, who is presenting, and when the meetings will be held. 2. Traditional outline method: this tactic generates a logical structure before you begin writing. Traditional outlines use Roman numerals, letters, and numbers to delineate the primary ideas and sub-ideas. This approach is good for new writers who need help developing a disciplined structure. An outline allows you to see the logic, sequence, and coverage of a topic, and reveals sections that you need to buttress. 3. Brainstorm outline method: start with an idea dump based on free association of ideas. List any and all ideas about the topic, often in the shape of a circle. For example, you can start with the purpose for the project inside the circle and draw lines to all related ideas emanating from it. This method provides a visual link between thoughts. 4. Free writing method: to break a writer's block, let your mind wander. Think freely. After about 10 minutes, highlight your main ideas and organize them logically. Though these methods help get you started, they don't determine the project's depth and breadth. You must decide the appropriate tone and substance of the writing. Do you want to keep it at a high level and address issues only generally, or do you want to make it more focused? First versions. Once you establish a project's initial structure and boundaries, begin writing the draft. This version has 4 goals: getting the main ideas down on paper without worrying about grammar or spelling, organizing ideas into paragraphs, making transitions from one section or paragraph to another, and finding or creating design elements to make the written piece more effective. One way to start a project is to cut and paste your outline into a new document. Then, begin to flesh out the major sections with new material. Start with the section which has the most material, or which is most interesting to you. Don't worry about working from the beginning of the outline to the end. Many veteran writers compose the introduction last. Paragraphs averaging 12 sentences are the individual building blocks in any story. Every paragraph should include an issue, the subject, a point, your statement about the subject, and a discussion. Build each paragraph around a general opening sentence, and then go into detail. Support your argument by placing new ideas near the end of the paragraph. People accept new concepts more readily when an introduction precedes them. Focus each paragraph on a limited range of subjects to maintain a balance between being too complicated and too simplistic. Link your paragraphs internally with transitional sentences or phrases, such as a result, likewise, on the other hand, and finally. Design elements, such as subheads, headings, bullets, and numbered lists, can break large chunks of copy into more digestible segments. One expert recommends that paragraphs should not contain more than 200 words or 5 sentences. Similarly, charts and graphs are excellent devices to convey more complex information. Graphics drive home the chief points, but don't overuse these elements. Too many graphics can make a piece look amateurish. The art of editing. You can improve most business writing with good editing. Editing ensures accuracy and enhances style, content, and clarity. The editing process begins after you produce a good first draft. Concentrate on improving the logic, lucidity, and structure of the article, as well as fine-tuning or developing its emotional hook. Since the beginning of any article is critical to gaining your reader's attention, focus on perfecting that. Next, turn your attention to the middle of the article where the body of supporting paragraphs forms the logical backbone of the text. Don't be afraid to cut sentences. Each sentence and paragraph should add value to the overall argument and advance the discussion. Double-check to make sure that you deliver everything you promised. Give your readers a reason to finish the article. They should respond to the articles. Sizzle. Don't introduce new ideas at the conclusion. Instead, close the piece with a summary or call to action. Let them walk away with some benefit, such as being able to solve a problem. The elements of style. Style is often difficult to pinpoint, but it is a combination of how you use vocabulary, sentences, and paragraphs to reach your writing goals. Since the aim of any written piece varies according to its purpose, audience, and timeliness, the style can be forceful, colorful, personal, or businesslike. Each article has its own purpose, and each style uses a different voice, sentence structure, and type of verb, active or passive. Use words economically, it makes a greater impact. Avoid jargon, except in rare cases where it is appropriate to the target audience. Voice, a difficult concept to master, is an important element of clear writing, and is based on the relationship between the sentence's subject and verb. When the subject is acting, the voice is active. When the subject is the object of the action, the voice is passive. While a change in voice doesn't usually alter the meaning, the emphasis still shifts. Each voice has a role. Use passive sentences when you don't know who or what caused the action to happen. Technical reports commonly use it. Bureaucracies also use the passive voice when officials want to acknowledge an event without indicating responsibility. For example, mistakes were made. Everyday writing. The most common business writing takes the form of emails, memos, and letters. Memos, or memorandums, are a basic form of intra-organizational communication which firms commonly use to announce business, policy, or personnel changes. Memos are effective since they become part of the company's official record, provide details about a change, allow people to reflect upon it, and address a specific audience. A memo's purpose is to explain, sell, build consensus, or invite people to participate. Memos often have formalized structures to make it easier for people to find the desired information. Since you can send a memo company-wide, you should devote extra time to ensure that it is accurate, clear, short, and grammatically correct. People will remember well-written memos that use active sentence structures. Business letters differ from memos because they are external communiques, they go to customers, suppliers, or shareholders. Build an element of goodwill into your messages to facilitate and maintain long-term relationships. Even when you are delivering bad news, try to include something positive. For example, if you cannot grant a loan request, include a reason why making the loan is not possible and suggest how the loan might be granted in the future. When composing emails, use the same writing standards that apply to letters and memos. Since emails are fast, cheap, and easy to send, maximize their effect by using the subject line to communicate your message. How about lunch tomorrow? Each email should also contain only one message. Since people can readily forward, copy, or alter emails, companies should have a formal email policy in place. This should clearly state: the company will not tolerate emails which harass or discriminate against women or certain groups. This includes a prohibition on forwarding insulting or obscene materials using company technology. The company will store all emails received in the computer system, even if employees delete them. The company can access all emails from the server. Employees shall not send confidential information via email. They must use inter-office mail or arrange a face-to-face meeting. Employees must respect copyrights and refrain from downloading, copying, or altering these materials. Group presentations. The ancient Greeks perfected public presentation techniques as part of their advancement of democracy. Politicians developed a 5-part system for public speech comprised of the introduction, narrative, argument, refutation, and conclusion. About 2,500 years later, this same logical sequence of presentation continues to please crowds. Your argument contains the logic of your presentation and is the most important section. This section presents the proof of your argument and should contain only 3 or 4 main points. If you include more, your presentation becomes tedious and you might lose the audience. Anticipate your opponent's arguments in the refutation section. Make a good effort to consider the other side's points. The Greeks also created rhetorical devices, or speaking techniques, to help orators establish better relationships with their audience. These devices include parallel structures, lists of 3 items and opposites to create memorable images. These still work today. 1 closing list of 3 to polish your communication skills, dress appropriately, work to engage your audience and use humor to build rapport.